Friends, today's topic for our discussion is Guru Tattva in Sanskrit. The meaning is understanding the role of a guide. We are approaching the Guru Purnima day on July 24th this year. This is an auspicious day when we all remember our spiritual guides, gurus, with grateful thanks. In July, we do not hold any class generally. Hence, I thought it would be nice to speak on the topic of the role of a guide, spiritual teacher, and explaining the importance of the Guru Purnima as an auspicious day. Let me begin with a prayer mantra addressing the tradition of the Gurus. Om Sadashiva Samarambhan Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmat Acharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. We chanted this mantra. This is a salutation to our Gurus. This mantra is traditionally chanted when we study the Upanishads or some Vedantic scriptures. In the monastic circles known as Dashanami Sampradaya, this is a very important mantra and we chant it when we read any scripture. Dasanami Sampradaya means Dasa means 10. Sampradaya means traditions. 10 traditions of monks or groups of monks created by Acharya Shankara. It says Sadashiva Samarambhan, beginning with Shiva. Shankaracharya Madhyamam, remembering the name of Shankaracharya in between. Asmat Acharya Paryantam, till we come to our own Acharyas or Gurus. Vande Guru Paramparam, we salute the tradition of the Gurus. The Upanishads also narrate some names of the Gurus, the coaches, the teachers, from whom the Rishis or saints have learnt the spiritual truths. They try to acknowledge their indebtedness to those Gurus. We have seen that the fables of excellences in every human endeavor, be it in the field of sports, sciences, education, or such other things, are possible because of some teachers, coaches, or gurus. Even in many disciplines, the word guru is used to indicate a teacher or coach, like the management guru, the Google guru, etc. Here in this mantra, this tradition has used a meaningful word, Acharya, Asmat Acharya Paryantam, to the very Guru who is my Guru. The word Acharya has a different meaning than a teacher. The definition of the word Acharya is those who are at first able to gather the essence of the scriptures and then reflect it in their own practical spiritual life. Practical spiritual life is called an Acharya. An Acharya is a practicing spiritual seeker. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, we come across a convocation address, a kind of parting message given by the Acharya to the graduating students. Even it was compulsory for those days for the royal princess to undergo such training. The message is not speaking much about their studies in different bread-earning trades, but mostly about how to live a moral life harmoniously, suited to the mutual living in the family and in the society, and then how to use their education and training in consonance with such a picture of our life, connected with our day-to-day life. The few very valuable advices that the teacher gave here are: speak the truth, because that is the path to all excellences. Lead your life according to the rules of dharma, human duties. Do not doubt the benevolent principles of the scriptures, because they have been tested millions of times. Yes, the first message was speak the truth. Well, we have read the quotation, the first casualty when a war comes is truth. Truth is the first casualty in a war, in a battle. But in today's world, truth is the very first thing that is killed in any field that one can name. Now we are talking about the students in the time of the Upanishads who lived with the Acharya several years and studied. They have seen from very close quarters how the Acharyas themselves lived their own life. They might have observed how the teachers themselves at times compromised the principles. Hence, proceeding further into this convocation address, the Acharya spoke a harsh but practical truth. He said, "You must have observed us doing something that you have interpreted as our failures, faults. Of course, there are some human failures always. But do not highlight those failures. Rather, follow those behavior or acts of ours in which we excelled." This is the practical teaching. It should be kept in mind that sometimes, due to want of knowledge about difficulties in applying principles in mutual living, the Acharyas do adjust them to the need. These adapted principles are called values. They are based on rules, but our maturity and inner culture have not developed that much that we understand them properly. Adjustment is based on rules. Let me recall a story. There was a teacher who used to teach his students about how to detach oneself from the physical body and from this world in order to fix the mind on the ultimate goal of life. But the students discovered that this teacher himself was attached to a dog. The students used to make fun of the teacher because they thought he was not true to his words. He was compromising with principles. One day they asked him the teasing question, "Sir, what is the goal of life?" The teacher understood the taunt. He called the dog to his side and, pointing his finger to the moon, asked the dog, "Fetch the moon." The dog looked up. The teacher asked the students, "Can you tell me where the dog is looking?" The student said, "Obviously, the dog is looking at the moon." The teacher laughed and said, "No, my dear. He is looking at my finger. The finger is the indicator or pointer, and the thing which is indicated is difficult for the poor creature to appreciate." And he added, "It is for this reason that I love this dog. It reminds me of such a horrible contingency or mistake." There was a teacher in Greece. His name was Diogenes. He used to also teach the same thing, that this world is unreal, the body is unreal. Once he broke his hand and he was in great pain. Then his disciples wanted to teach him and asked this question, Sir, at this moment of great pain in your hand, do you still say that this body is unreal? Then Diogenes smiled and said, Yes, this body is unreal, but painfully unreal now. So in the Viveka Chudamani, Shankaracharya narrates some qualities of an Acharya. He says he or she can be a Guru or Acharya who is well versed in the Vedas, sinless, untainted by desire, and a knower of Brahman par excellence, who has withdrawn himself into Brahman, who is calm, who is boundless reservoir of mercy that knows no condition, and a friend of all. Well, that is a lot to remember. And look at the words used by Shankara, like a knower of Brahman par excellence, and etc. It seems he is talking about a fairy tale like being who is called a Guru. Surely such narrative suit the descriptions of an angel who is not a human being, flying in the space and showing aerobatic feats in a kind of Harry Potter movie. No, I am not sarcastic or cynical, because a literary interpretation of these qualities, just literary interpretation of these qualities, would be an extreme view of what Shankara has actually wanted to mean. And many do such sad mistake in an attempt to sound themselves very scholarly. Let us be practical. We are human beings. We need a human Guru here and now. This is the maxim or motto, and we will interpret Shankara from our standpoint and need, without diluting the message, of course. Sri Ramakrishna is an incarnation of God. Swami Vivekananda calls him by the epithet Naradeva. That means a meeting point between the highest human excellences, Nara, and the sphere where godliness begins, Deva. Junction of between Nara means human excellences and Deva, the godliness. He is not a person to be called an angel or elf living in the exosphere, somewhere between 100,000 to 200,000 kilometers above the surface of earth. Sometimes we think that those qualities, in their full or 100%, should be present in a person so that we can call him or her a Guru. In order to forbid us from presenting such a colossal misinterpretation, the opening prayer that we chanted includes a Guru who is human, my Guru, or the Guru of the person who is chanting the mantra. That is why it says Asmat Acharya Paryantam, till my own teacher, Guru. The Acharyas help us in various ways. A Guru is called Acharya here in the opening verse of this talk, because the Guru himself or herself reflects in their own lives the truth, reflects the principles which are taught in the scriptures. They are trying to practice those things in their life. That creates great hope in us that these things are doable, achievable. If we look at the life of Sri Ramakrishna, we will see that Sri Ramakrishna himself practiced sadhana, spiritual austerities. One may argue that Sri Ramakrishna cannot be a Guru because he himself had to do spiritual practices. A Christ cannot be called a Savior because he himself was killed. Such is the saga of all great incarnations and prophets. Very sad story about their life. The human factors in the life of divine personalities are of immense value for the human beings, for us. This brought great hope in our mind that it is possible for our frail human body and mind to take up such difficult austerities and sadhanas. The word Guru has been defined this way. Gu means darkness and Ru means light. The Guru helps us to remove the darkness of ignorance from our mind and leads us through the path of light. That means the Guru helps us to remove our ignorance and to gain knowledge about ourselves, about God. The same thing happens in the material world. We have our guides, coaches, our teachers. Generally, those are called teachers who come and teach theoretical knowledge in the schools. But guides or coaches actually work together with us and coach us. They work together with the students to help them to practice how to attain the skill. The spiritual guru or coach, on the other hand, remains a guide until the disciple attains liberation. When the guru's physical human body comes to its inevitable end, the Guru Shakti or the guiding power of the Guru merges in our personal God. And in that changed form, the Guru continues to help the disciple. Sri Ramakrishna has said that the duty of a human Guru, is to impart traditional knowledge and then help the student to practice that, lead the student, and at one point, when the goal is almost near, the Guru says, pointing to the goal, "Oh my dear student, there is your goal, your Ishta. Now I stop here." Then the student goes alone. The human Guru leads us up to that point. When we remember our own human Guru on a special day, we not only remember our own Guru, but we remember the tradition of the Gurus. Shankaracharya at one place says that a knowledge which comes not from a tradition, that knowledge is no knowledge. The knowledge which comes from no tradition is to be viewed with skepticism. Tradition means a history in which the procedure and the path have been tested, proved to be useful not by one or two people, but by generation after generation of sadhakas or people. And also it remains intact or has been augmented, but it has never been diluted. Nobody has added any impurities to it. It is very effective because it became very powerful. Much and much life and strength have been breathed into this path. That is a sure path. Tradition is therefore respected and it continues. In Indian spiritual tradition, the disciples generally enrich and augment the philosophy and the practices of a particular path of liberation that were once tread by the earlier gurus. The disciples do not break off from the tradition and float their own one-man show philosophy and cult. Those who do that lose their moorings and are finally rejected by history. Because such mushroom growths are not based on a long history of successes and are not sustainable. That is why tradition is the life force of spirituality. Jesus warned in the Bible, "Do not think that I came to destroy the law or the prophets. I did not come to destroy but to fulfill." When we observe Guru Purnima, the occasion to remember our own gurus, we actually remember the Guru tradition from the earliest of the Gurus, earliest of the human Guru. We said that the Guru Parampara began with Sadasiva Samaramman, Sadasiva, Shiva himself. In the Gita, Sri Krishna also says that the creator God Ishvara is the Guru. Sri Ramakrishna also used to say that it is God alone who is the real Guru. It has its implication. We will come to that. The Yoga Sutra says that Ishvara or the creator God is Guru because Sa Purvesham api Guru Kalena Anavachedat. He or Ishvara or God is the Guru of the Gurus, the earliest of the Gurus, because he is not bound Anavachedat by Kala, time. That Guru is beyond description because he has no body, no home on earth, does not speak our language, and not approachable therefore. As I said, during the occasion of remembering our Gurus, which is called Guru Purnima, we remember the earliest of the human Gurus, Vyasa. He is Vyasa, Vyasa Deva. Many modern thinkers are led to believe that Vyasa may be a non-specific name. The meaning of the Sanskrit word Vyasa is a compiler. There may be many compilers, Vyasas. Like the Vyasa who organized the Vedas is known as Veda Vyasa. He divided the whole knowledge of the Vedas into 3 parts originally. We know Vedas are 4, of course, but the 4th Veda, the Atharva Veda, was compiled later. That is why this Vyasa is known as Veda Vyasa, because he compiled the Vedas. He is also called Vadarayana Vyasa. Vadarayana word signifies the place where he was born. There used to be many plants of Badara berries. Badara means a small hard seed known as jujube or red date or Chinese date. It is also called gunja in Sanskrit, but till now we know that it is not edible. We know another Vyasa in the Mahabharata as a character therein. He had a son whose name was Sukadeva. He had other sons also in the Mahabharata. We know Dhritarashtra, Pandu and Vidura. Parashara was Vyasa's father and Satyavati was his mother. In the Gita, this Vyasa was praised because of his Herculean work of writing the 100,000 verses of the Mahabharata. This Veda Vyasa was born on this Purnima or full moon day or full moon night, and that is why this day is known as Guru Purnima day. He was the earliest of the human Gurus. The Gita opening prayer mantra says, Salutation to the Vyasa. Namaste tu te Vyasa Vishala Buddhe, like that. Salutation to the Vyasa who is of Vishala Buddhe, unfathomable intellect. Vishala, big. His Mahabharata is an epic which is not a compilation of only mythical stories, but it has connected spiritual truth to our day-to-day life and its regular problems. It taught us how to practice goodness in the face of trying situations, challenges, which present moral dilemmas before us. It is sometimes very difficult to decide between what is moral, what is immoral. In that critical and crucial situation, what would be the dharma, what would be the right thing to do, etc., have been neatly discussed in this great epic. The Mahabharata has presented so many such moral dilemmas. There are 2 books on the ethics in the Mahabharata by Mr. Chakravarti Chakrabarti, and also the moral dilemmas in the Mahabharata by Mr. Motilal. In those books, The authors have tried to understand and explain the extent of these moral dilemmas in this epic. They tried to fathom the wisdom of Vyasa in solving numerous varieties of moral dilemmas in remarkable insight of dharma. Events are happening throughout the world which tease and sadden us. We are left with hundreds of disturbing questions regarding the ethics and morality behind them. What should be done morally to solve a complicated situation? Vyasa has provided specific answers to such dilemmas in the epic itself. That is why he is known as Vishala Buddhe. His genius is incomparable. Again, his great contribution is narrated like he has lighted the lamp of knowledge. His knowledge is fueled by Bharata Taila Purna, the oil which is the spirit of the tradition of India, Bharata. It is the cultural spirit of that great Upanishadic tradition, which is the spirit of non-exclusion and acceptance. This ideal is ever contemporary because it does not speak of any kind of exclusion. Nobody is excluded. It was not that easy in those days to write such a huge magnum opus. Today, we Google, cut and paste, and the book is created. But for Vyasa, it was not a small feat. It may not be possible in one life, what to speak of some years. In our order, Swami Vireshwaranandaji Maharaj, who was the 10th president of our order, introduced this tradition of Guru Purnima. Before him, the disciples of all the presidents and the vice presidents used to observe the birthdays of their gurus separately. Therefore, so many birthdays used to be there in a year, which would grow in number, of course. Swami Vireshwaranandaji merged all those traditions into one Guru Purnima. It is also believed that Vyasa was born on this day, as I said. Why do we need a coach, a guru? This is not a difficult question to answer. In all the fields of human endeavor, we do need a teacher, a guide, or a coach, or a guru. Well, in spiritual terminology, we don't call all of such teachers a guru, but acknowledging the sanctity that this word commands, people started using this word for commercial purposes in other fields also. As I said, the management guru, Google guru, and whatnot. Sometime back, I was reading an article which was very interesting. The title of the write-up was Liberating the Corporate Soul, as if the corporate has a soul and it needs liberation. Well, thus we know that in every field we need a guru. In Germany, even those who are authorized to clean our seminar house have to have an accredited bachelor's degree and so on in this field of cleaning. Here the Reinigungsfirma, means the firm which cleans the houses, gives training, Ausbildung, to those who want to learn the art of cleaning. These apprentices are called by a very sweet word, learling. They do learn the work as worship. They do learn this work as worship. Yes, there are trainings that help us to learn how to do worship, puja, or ritualistic worship of God in its different versions. These works would remind us of a ritualistic worship of puja. These apprentices don't know that the Karma Yoga theory that work is worship can be all followed, and that is the path of further development. At first it is work and worship, then work as worship, and finally work is worship. That is the path. Thus any work that we do will be a spiritual work. Well, we too don't know this. We know both work and worship. and know them as two different things. From work and worship, we grow to the next understanding of work as worship by spiritual practice. In that sense, these apprentices, even though they are working in the cleaning firm, are one step ahead of us because they learn to do work as or like worship with so much attention and care. They are one step ahead and nearer to the goal of Karma Yoga, that is, work is worship. Now, if this work has to be converted into worship, we need to introduce the idea of God or self into it. As regards this task of cleaning the house, we see that these apprentices could come so far due to the help of a trainer, a guide, a guru. Then we need another guru who is a spiritual guru as a means to convert the work into worship. The problem is that we read things on the internet and then become teachers. This way we never learn. We are never learners, but we become teachers. One management guru has said, we don't learn because we never learned how to obey. That is because of the fact that our ego is so big. Learning is necessary to become a teacher, and practice is necessary to become a coach or a guru. Similarly, we need to become humble and start learning under proper training as an apprentice to become a student, an apprentice or learning. Sri Ramakrishna has said, Jabad vachi tabat sikhi. As long as I live, so long do I learn. The whole life is a learning process. I remember an incident. There was a novice brahmachari in one of the centers of our order. He was supervising some electrical repair work. An electrician was doing it. Now our dear novice brahmachari started his journey in the spiritual world. He thought by that right he became an all-knowing scholar. So he went on instructing the electrician. Finally, this man could not keep quiet. He said, "Hey man, please stop. You are repeatedly displaying your ignorance." Because he was trained in his trade. Nowadays there is another field which is also suffering from the same fate, maybe worse. It is the field of medical science. Believe it or not, in today's world, every one of us is an internet educated doctor. Some of our doctor friends told me, Swamiji, it is so difficult to treat a patient. When the patients come, they know everything about their disease and the treatment from the internet before they come to us. Hence our rigorous training for so many years, our knowledge and our experiences have no value. The mantra for a novice in spiritual life is that I should be humble to learn. They say a beginner has a beginning, otherwise not. That is why Swami Vivekananda has said, all privileges should be abolished. And worst of the privileges is religious privileges. Worst, many people do enjoy privileges because those are hard earned by them or they truly deserve it. But we think that religious privileges can be enjoyed without earning it, without deserving it, but just through our studies on the internet. That is a horrible, horrible thing. The message is we need to learn spirituality as apprentices. Therefore, the guru is a necessity. It is a necessity as it is in all spheres of our life. In the medical field, the patient's decision to cure himself or herself through internet knowledge could push one to a life and death situation. Similarly, in the spiritual sphere, our own understanding could lead us into life after life's problems. What are the duties of a guru and why do we need them? Need the guru? The first sloka, verse of the Guru Gita, starts with the line Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara. Generally, people translate it as our Guru is Brahma, our Guru is Vishnu, our Guru is Maheshwara. As you might know, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara are the Trinity in Hinduism. The same Creator God or Ishvara has three aspects which are defined by the three acts he does in respect of the creation. These acts are creation means rolling out, preservation means maintenance, and dissolution or rolling back. Ishvara is called Brahma when he creates. The same Ishvara is called Vishnu when he maintains the creation. And the same Ishvara again called Maheshwara when he rolls back the creation into its potential form. So there are not actually three personalities, three aspects of the same personality. But if we look at our human guru, our guru does not have four heads like Brahma, four hands like Vishnu, or does not have the moon on the forehead like Maheshwara or Shiva. Hence, this tradition is not a very this translation is not a very happy one. The translation should be according to what Sri Ramakrishna has said. God or the Ishvara is the only Guru. Then the translation stands like this. Our Guru is like Brahma in fulfilling his duty towards his disciples. But Brahma is the real Guru. Our Guru is like Brahma, but real Guru is Brahma. Our Guru is like Vishnu, our Guru is like Maheshwara, but the real Guru is Ishvara. Why do you think of three Gurus together in one person? Actually, they are not three Gurus. They are the names of the different aspects of the same Guru. Ishvara has three different aspects, as I have said, in one. Our Guru is like Brahma, the creator, because our Guru creates an interest in the mind of the disciple. Creates. He or she is responsible for creating interest for spiritual life. That is why he is regarded as the creator, Brahma. He is not creating us, he is creating the interest. He is not creating some objects to enjoy, but he is creating an interest in the mind of the disciples for spiritual life. The Guru introduces some mystic formula or mantra, gives some instructions, and thereby creates that interest. Then why is he called Vishnu? It is because the Guru helps us to maintain that interest. This is the most crucial and difficult part of the duty of a Guru or even God. This is the greatest contribution in our life that we get from our own Gurus. Maintaining that interest is really a tough job for both the Guru and the disciple. When we lose our enthusiasm in the spiritual practices, then some help is necessary. When we lose interest in a big work, we take to drinking and such other destructive measures. We not only stop practicing spiritual life, but we start with some harmful practices. If you look at the lives of great men and women in the field of sports, you will see that a great player would lose his or her form for some time. At that moment, they do not quit playing. They do not take to some destructive measures, but they seek help from a coach. The coach may not be a great Grand Slam winner, but it is only a coach who can help at this moment of low point in the career. At this crucial moment, we need a help. Generally, we start any endeavor with some interest, but at some point, we feel very mechanical about the practices. It is called dryness. St. John of the Cross has written the book The Dark Night of the Soul. The mechanical patches in spiritual life are called the dark nights of the soul. What should we do when these patches appear in our life, in our spiritual life? we should recognize that our own resources are not enough to help us. We need some help, somebody's help. We go to a friend, but the friend may not be trained. She or he may give moral support, but a guru gives real support by his own examples and holy company or sangha. Thus a guru helps us to maintain our interest and keep us inspired. At first he creates interest and then he keeps on inspiring. That is why a guide or a guru is necessary. It is more so in spiritual life, because due to worldly difficulties, worldly problems, we are under stress and suffer a lot. We are disturbed constantly. It is necessary that there should be some inspiration from somebody else. Sometimes we need small effort to begin with anything, but we do need big resources to maintain those things, to go on with our commitments. Therefore, it is necessary that we should have someone who would help us to maintain this spirit. The third act that a guru does is to destroy the ignorance by dissolving it. That is why it is called the destroyer, Maheshwara. That is the meaning of the word guru. Gu and Ru. Gu is darkness and Ru is light. The guru, through his prayers, works with the disciples in removing darkness or ignorance and bringing in knowledge or wisdom. This is a holy duty. He also helps us to remove our doubts and confusions. Once a young man joined as a new novice brahmachari at one of our centers in India. He was a spirited young man. He used to read the Yoga Sutras. One day he came to one senior Swamiji and said, "Maharaj, I have some questions on Samadhi." The senior Swamiji looked up and said, "Ah, great. You have questions on Samadhi? Very good. I will answer your questions. But at first you have to do what I say. Follow what I say." The brahmachari was spirited. He said, "Fine, tell me what I have to do." Then the Swamiji asked, "How long do you meditate?" "I meditate for 20 minutes, he replied. The Swamiji said, "Well, then from today onwards, you start meditating for 1 hour. After 1 month, you come back to me. Then we will sit together and I will answer all your questions on Samadhi." The brahmachari started meditating for 1 hour. But after 4-5 days, he came back and wanted to ask some questions. The senior Swamiji won't listen to him. He said, "No, I don't want to hear any questions now. What was our contract? We agreed that we will meet after 1 month. Then the brahmachari said, "No, Maharaj, I am not here to ask any question on Samadhi. I have some other problems, like when I sit in meditation. After some time, I feel some burning sensation on my shoulder muscles, and the thighs are becoming numb." You see, it is normal that initially it is not easy for a newcomer to sit for long hours. Thighs getting numb and the shoulders burning may happen due to physical reasons, due to the newness of the body postures. Even the newness in the effort to concentrate the mind also creates its physical impacts. The kind old Swamiji asked, "Do you really feel a burning sensation on your shoulder muscles?" Then, my dear, your question is a burning question. It is a burning question. This is how one should learn. Our questions show at what stage of growth we are, if you are really practicing. Then Samadhi is not the problem. Problem is sitting problem. Sitting itself is a problem. When you are practicing, you will have practical problems and burning questions to solve, and not just theoretical questions to answer. And those questions have practical answers too, because they are practical questions. What was the practical answer? This old Swamiji said, Go on changing your leg posture when the thighs are getting numb. That novice did not know that it was allowed to change legs. And then he said, do some shoulder exercises. The problem was solved. I know that brahmachari had no occasion to ask questions about samadhi again all through his life. A guru's help is necessary because it is a very practical help to address our practical need. And it is true that we don't know all things about our own life, past, present or future. So, some more ideas like how the Guru will help us to understand things better. I will cite an incident that the Guru's help is necessary when we don't understand the situation itself. There is an incident narrated by Stephen Covey in the Management Guru in his celebrated book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He was himself a witness to a situation. One day he was sitting at a metro station in London. It was around noon. The station was very quiet. People were reading books, newspapers, etc. It was so peaceful. Suddenly a gentleman came down the escalator with 2 little kids. As he came down, the gentleman sat on the bench near Mr. Covey. He looked sad. On the other hand, the 2 little kids behaved like uncontrolled children, urchins. They ran about here and there, pulled somebody's paper, made loud noise. They instantly converted the peaceful atmosphere of the station into a chaotic one. Mr. Covey asked the gentleman, "It seems they are your kids. Why don't you control them?" The sad man looked up and said, "Right, they are my kids. I should control them. But we are now coming from the hospital where their mom died 2 hours ago. I don't know how to control myself." People around looked at the man and his kids with sympathy and fellow feeling. The station now seemed as quiet as before. In spite of the noise and the unruly kids, it seemed quiet. This is called adjustment. Mr. Covey calls it paradigm shift. So it is necessary that we should have some help to understand what is the meaning of adjustment in life. Very simple, practical thing. We are always idealistic without understanding the practicality of those things. One young student asked a question after a lecture. "Swamiji, you say that I have to be aware of my spiritual nature always. I am a computer programmer. When I am doing computer programming, how can I be attentive to 2 things at the same time? It is not possible. So how to maintain the awareness?" Then I said, "My dear, you really know that it is not possible to think of, be aware of your divinity when you are doing computer programming. Is it right?" He said, "Yes. And it is not possible to do 2 things at the same time." Then I said, "That is very true. Then you have to extend the argument. Like when you are meditating on God, it will not be possible for you to think of other things. 2 things cannot be done together. So when you are meditating on God, you cannot think of other things. Does it really happen like that? Actually, these are nothing but trickeries that we play with ourselves. That is why we need a guide. We read Asmat Acharya Paryantam, up to my own Guru or Acharya. It includes all the Gurus, even those who are like them, all of them. And there are so many who are ready to help us. So Swamiji says, Swami Vivekananda says, a trained person may make a few mistakes, but an untrained person makes thousands of mistakes. And that is the problem. Yes, there is still some more time. I can share with you some more ideas about this. Let me narrate another story from the life of one of our brahmacharis, that is in our order, who just joined. He was very young, intelligent and physically very strong man. He used to think that spiritual life is easy for him. He expected that with his strength, ability, intelligence, etc., he would realize God in 6 or 7 years. He was wise enough to give himself a big time. He thought 6 years for spiritual realization would be more than enough. And then he started practicing spiritual disciplines in right earnest. He used to live in a room across to which there used to live an old Swamiji in those days. That senior Swamiji was around 76 years old, and he had his old age related difficulties, physical difficulties, problems. As I said, this young brahmachari used to live across his room on the other side of the passage. One day this brahmachari caught cold. In India, cough and cold cannot be regarded as disease. But this novice had some feeling of uneasiness. He thought it was reason enough for him not to get up at 3:30 in the morning. In India, we have our morning prayers at 4 o'clock in the morning. One has to wake up at least before 3:30. Very difficult to become a monk under the Ramakrishna order. So for your information. The young novice thought that he was sick, and therefore he had enough reason or enough excuses not to get up that early. Though awake, he was lying in his bed. He heard a click at that moment. It was that old Swamiji who came out of his room and bolted the door. He was going for morning prayer and meditation. He was on his way to the temple, even though he too had some illness. The sound of his footsteps hit the brahmachari very hard. He cursed himself, jumped out of the bed, prepared himself and ran to the temple. This is the effect of Sangha of a human being. Sangha of a teacher, practicing human being. You don't need to pluck a guru from a kalpavriksha, wish-fulfilling tree in the heaven. We boast that we are young, we have got tremendous strength, you have everything in this world, and the old people, they don't know. They are lazy and like that, so many things they have, the problems they have. But now, see, this novice was lying down there and this old man is going. So he jumped up from the bed, and that is the boost, that is the help he got from the company. In the Upanishads, there are many such instances where the students came to the acharyas and served him, helping him in his household works. There is a story of a student who came to the teacher, and the teacher, instead of teaching him the Vedas for which he actually came, asked him to go and tend the cattle. He gave him some cows, asked him to take care of the cows and come back when they would become 1,000. This is a very famous story. The student did not argue. He obeyed the order of the teacher. He did not question like, I have come to learn the scriptures, but instead of that, you are sending me to take care of the cattle. We learned further that in course of time, one day, the student heard the bull telling him, Satyakama, we have become 1,000 now. Then the student started his journey back to the Guru's home. From a distance, the Acharya saw him. He saw that this young lad looked like a knower of Brahman. Shri Krishna says in the Gita, from every pore of the body of such blessed ones, the radiance of self-knowledge reveals itself. Sarvadvareshu dehesmin prakasamupajayate. Anyway, the Guru asked one question. O serene one, you look like a knower of Brahman. Tell me who taught you about the truth. The student said, a water bird taught me, the fire taught me, a bull taught me. There are ample opportunities for every one of us to learn. There is a poem in English which says, from the wind we learn how to be always active. From the sky we learn how to be generous. From the rivers we learn how to go on and on towards the goal. These practical teachings are available everywhere, even in silent nature. But this student had his realization because he was sent to tend the cattle. And that is because he had his Guru. He came to the Guru and the Guru knew that the student will realize this way. So many times we don't know what we should do and what way we should conduct ourselves. So we need some help. Well, there is a question. Someone has asked a wonderful question. If you didn't get the opportunity to interact to the Guru, then what to do? Yes, that is the normal thing in everybody's life. It is not that you have problem. This is the problem for everyone. If you have to be constantly together with your Guru physically in his presence or in his or her ashrama or home, etc., then it is not difficult. It is difficult for the Guru to initiate more than 2-3 people. So the thing is that there is opportunity to learn from the Guru, and nowadays it is very easy. They do some video conferences. They have telephones, free calls available. So it is always easy to get help in today's world, in today's context. That is not a really big problem. And also, the Guru instructs you or the students to read some books. If you read the books, these are the teachings which the Guru himself would help you to know. So these books are available, and these books will always speak to you. If you are really concentrated and practicing spirituality, these books can really speak to you. Mother Teresa of Avila has said, we speak to God through prayers and God speaks to us through the books. Yes, when you are reading the books, you have look at the children. They are reading some books and then they are laughing. The books, the words printed there, they are not speaking to the child. But they are creating that emotion in the mind through the words. And the person's emotions are activated. So the books can really work on your mind. And so the scriptures are available. The Guru will help you to choose the scriptures. And when, as I have said, when the Guru passes away or dies, the human Guru dies, then what happens, you get guidance from, already your mind will become Guru and you get guidance from God. That is the blessing of the human Guru, which he leaves together with God. So therefore, Sri Ramakrishna and others, Sri Krishna and others, they have highlighted the importance of this Guru, who is God Himself. And you don't have to worry about that, because not only the Guru has to go, but the student will also go and will take up another body. So this Guru Shishya Parampara, once you have come to the Guru, will not end. That is what Sri Ramakrishna and others have said, that in one birth someone has done something, in the next birth that person starts from that point. That is why we see the differences between our urges, eagerness and longing for God between us. Each person's longing is different, because someone has got more from the earlier birth, someone has less. So therefore it continues, and there we don't think much about having a Guru near us in this life itself, but we think of Guru in the form of God, and through another human Guru in the next life, God will help us. Therefore Sri Ramakrishna and others always highlighted the importance of God being our Guru. So it is possible. I have seen, I worked with Bhutasanandji Maharaj. Devotees used to write letters in those days. Maharaj would give more time to answer those letters, because these devotees were not able to come there. And then he would go to meet these devotees who would come to meet him in the hall. So this is possible. Thank you very much.